fellow collectors, and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at Chodo Alpha Ultraman 6. Now this is a candy toy style of figures for Ultraman, very similar to Chodo. They come fully painted, they come with extra hands and accessories and things like that. You don't have to do any stickers like Chodo, and they're about the same size as Chodo figures for Kamen Rider. The sixth wave here comprises of 6 different boxes. We have Ultraman Blazer, Ultraman Zet Delta Rise Claw, Ultraman Geed Primitive, Ultraman Zero, Ultraman Bellal, and then the 6th box is like an accessory pack for weapons for the other 5. Now, typically I haven't gotten into the candy toy style figures for Ultraman because it doesn't really scale with anything else. When we think about Ultraman, he's obviously a much larger hero than most of, Sentai, Kamen Rider, the other Toku heroes. So they don't really scale. Like if I have a Chodo figure of Kamen Rider, 01, and he's next to Ultraman Blazer, it doesn't really make sense because those two heroes are not the same size. So I hadn't really gotten into these. I have been collecting the Ultra Action figures because those started so long ago, and those are pretty good. I'm pretty happy with those. But these are going to have a lot more articulation, and they're just kind of in the scale that I like. And a few of the Ultraman have started having like street level sizes from time to time. I know Zet had a battle once at street level and normal human size. So I thought, let's go ahead, let's try them. And they look pretty great. I'm pretty excited about them. So this is the 6th wave. So like I said, I just got into these, so I am a little behind. I did get a couple of the others. I think I got 3 and 4 maybe. And depending on how much I like these, I might track down the others that I'm missing. But also, like Chodo, they kind of reinvent themselves. Like Chodo has been going on for a while, and then they kind of rebranded as Chodo Alpha, so I think they're a little bit more articulated than the previous line of Chodo figures, similar to how Chodo kind of rebranded as Chodo X and now Chodo Double Cross, stuff like that. But yeah, so you can see packaging's pretty standard. Have a picture of the figure here on the front, your warnings and whatnot on most of the other sides on the bottom, and then it just shows you again what number in the set and the character, and then on the back you just have a nice product shot of the figure and then a couple of the accessories. He looks like he's got some kind of like power punch blast effect kind of a thing going on there. So I'm pretty excited for these. I'm going to go ahead, get them all out of the packaging, and then we'll take a closer look. So here are the 5 figures out of the packaging. We will start with Ultraman Blazer, and for the most part I think it looks pretty good. It's a fun little figure. Have a translucent plastic for the eyes, and then kind of a translucent plastic here for the color timer, but I believe it's then been painted metallic blue, which is kind of nice. All of the paint here, you have this nice blue here above the left eye, all of the paint here on the chest with the black and the blue and the red, continuing over here to the arm and the leg all on the left side. Now there's nice black here on the right thigh, and it kind of looks like this little area right here is also supposed to be painted, and they painted it kind of over here on this side but not on this side, which is kind of weird. It might have just been like a amount of paint applications per box kind of a thing, but overall it's pretty fun. Like I mentioned on the back of the box, he's got this kind of effect piece for punching, which is kind of cool, and that just slides right over the fist, which is nice. So the head's on a ball joint. You can do side to side. You can tilt it around a little bit. You can see you can look up slightly, look down slightly, but it's mostly side to side. He's got a ball joint in the shoulder. Now this one popped off. I've noticed that this arm on mine, it's a little finicky. I mean, it pops right back on and it's nice and tight, and you can certainly move it around. But the kind of in and out, like to try to tilt it up, because it's just a ball joint and not a hinge or anything like that, it doesn't like to go much higher than that. But then you have a bicep swivel, 90 degrees in the elbow. You can swivel the hands. They are all different. You get a couple options, so they just peg in there. Very similar to how Chodo operates. You have a ball joint here in the torso, as well as a ball joint here in the waist. Now, he does have this piece on the back here, so you can peg him into stands, and that kind of gets in the way, so you kind of have to like move that up before you can tilt it around. So little limitations like that, but overall not bad. You have a ball joint here in the hip, so you can kick pretty decently forward, pretty decently to the side. He does have a butt flap, so you can't kick backwards. Got a thigh swivel, more than 90 degrees there in the knee, and then you have a limited ball joint in the ankle. Certainly side to side, no problem, and you can tilt a little bit, but it's kind of beveled in a weird way, so you can't get a ton of side to side, and you can get a very tiny little bit of front to back. So I wish there was a little better articulation there in the ankle. The articulation's there, it's just the design of the foot itself hinders it. And I'm assuming that's because they didn't want a lot of negative space down here, which I get. So they're trying to hide that by having like the top of the foot come up. But then it does kind of limit it. Now they did kind of bevel it here on the side, so you can get a little bit to the side, which is nice. Now, unlike Chodo Double Cross, there is no hinge in the foot. But otherwise, I would say it's a pretty solid figure. It looks good. Nice paint applications, nice articulation. I'm going to pop this back on his fist here. And yeah, it's a nice looking figure. No accessories for him from the accessory pack anyway. This one does come in the box with him. So if you just buy the box that's Ultraman Blazer, this is everything you will get. Also, he does have hand accessories, so let me get those out. I believe these are his. Unfortunately, when you start to make a pile of these, they all look very similar because they all have silver hands. But so in addition to the hands that he's currently utilizing, you do have a set of kind of straight posed fingers, so he can do the Kosen attack that they all pretty much do. He's got 2 sets of closed fists. I have the other one on here right now, but this, if you wanted him to have 2 closed fists. And then he's got this kind of open hand, and I do have another one over here as well. So you get kind of a casual open hand pair, a closed fist pair, and then you get a, like, Kosen set of hands, we'll call it. So pretty cool. Nice accessories there. And overall, I like it. I think it's a fun little figure. Size comparison-wise, if we zoom out a little bit, here is a Spin Master 4-inch Blue Beetle figure. You can see that they are pretty much exactly the same. Let me get Blazer standing here again. There we go. And then this is a Ghoul from Wizard. So this is a Chodo Kamen Rider figure, rather recent one. You can see that he does have those joints in the toes that these don't have. Otherwise, I would say the articulation's the same. And they're about the same size as well. So they're all probably about 4 inches tall. It's pretty consistent. So, pretty cool. Let me move these guys out to the side here. So, that's it for Blazer. I think he looks great. We'll put him off to the side. And next up, we will see Ultraman Zet Delta Rise Claw. Now, the Bellal accessory is from the accessory pack. It does not come in the box with him. But it looks great. He holds it well. It's nicely painted. I like that quite a bit. I think it looks good. And overall, Zet just looks really, really nice. The head sculpt, I think, is good. Again, translucent plastic there for the eyes. Nicely painted. Over here on the chest, we have some translucent blue. I can't tell if it's translucent blue or if it's translucent and then painted with metallic blue. I think what it is, there's probably some metallic blue underneath, and then there's a translucent piece on top. That's my best guess. Then again, it could just be translucent blue plastic. I don't know. However they've replicated it here, it does look good. I like it a lot. The Z looks good. All of this paint here looks good. Again, I feel like these lines here on the thighs are probably supposed to be painted, but they're not big at painting these little like hip pieces where like the hip becomes the thigh. But nice paint here all on the sides of the arms. That's all nice. He's got pretty much the same articulation. Now, because of the way he's molded, you can see that he can't really utilize the ball joint in the chest because it just kind of, everything kind of hits. So unfortunately, he can't utilize that very much. He can utilize down at the waist a little bit better. Also, because how big his shoulder pads are, he can't get much out of the shoulder. But the head looks good. Again, up and down slightly. Pretty much the same here in the elbows and the wrists. The hips, he can't kick out as far or as forward as Blazer can. But thigh swivel's good. He's got a little bit more play in the ankles because his foot's a little bit lower. But then he can't really, well, he can kick out a little bit. So yeah, the feet are all molded slightly differently. The articulation's the same, but the range of articulation is going to be slightly different from figure to figure just because of how they're molded. So the points of articulation are there, but not everyone can utilize them to the same extent, if that makes sense. Now, Zet also comes with this giant beam attack hand, which I think is really cool. It is just attached. Now, I'm assuming this whole thing is done in translucent blue and then they just painted the hand silver. That appears to be what happened because the peg is the translucent blue. So this just pegs into the hand, and then you can replicate the beam attack. So if we just take this hand out, this one just pegs in, and then you would just kind of bend it, and then you would bring this hand in. And I know he wouldn't have a fist at this point, but just to give you the general idea, something like that, so that he can do the beam attack. And it's not pegging in. Come on. I know you can do it. There we go. I wish you could bend a little bit more, but that's basically it. You get the idea. But the problem is, I wish the elbow could bend a little bit more, because otherwise I kind of have to put it all the way up like this, which isn't terrible, but I feel like that's just a little higher than they usually have it on the show. But it's still pretty cool. You can replicate the beam attack there. I think that's kind of neat. But I think Bellal is much cooler, so I'm going to leave that on there as well. I mean, you could even have him do this kind of pose, but yeah, it's a cool looking figure. I like it quite a bit. And then he does have some additional hands as well. Let's guess which hands are his. I think it's these. I think that's correct. Let me double check. Yes, these should be his. So again, you have kind of a relaxed, open set of hands, grasping set of hands, closed fist set of hands, and then kind of like a posing set of hands. Or at least one posing hand, I guess. So, a lot of hand options. Next up, we have Jeed Primitive. He's got nice translucent blue eyes, or again, translucent with blue paint underneath. I'm not sure, but either way, looks very cool. Same thing down here for the colored timer. He's got the Jeed Claw, which is from the accessory box. He looks great. Now, he's got like no shoulder pads, so he can get the full range of motion out of the shoulders. You can see that they kind of, scooped out this area so that that can go all the way up, which is really nice. He's got great movement in the torso. Down here at the waist, he can kick all the way forward, kick all the way, well, decently out to the side. He's got the thighs swivel there, so he's got a lot of nice articulation. A really cool looking figure. I like this guy quite a bit. And he looks great with the weapon there, so he came out great. And he really can utilize all of his articulation because he's a much sleeker design. He doesn't have any bulky shoulder pads or anything like that. Now, he also has a beam attack hand, a little bit more simplified, but still very cool. Works the same way as with Zet. Just peg that in, and then you can go ahead and do it. Now, he gets a little bit more range of motion out of his elbow, so it works a little bit better. So if we peg this one in, you can kind of get this a little bit more in the right position. And again, I know I'm not using the right hand, but just to give you an idea, I feel like that fits a little bit better because he can get more range of motion out of the elbow. So I think that's really cool. I like that quite a bit. We'll give him this hand back here. So yeah, this is really cool. I like this guy quite a bit. Nice posing hands here. In addition to the beam hand, he does have some additional hands as well. Again, closed fist set of hands, open set of hands, and then kind of like this posing set of hands. So, very cool. I like Jeed Primitive a lot. I think that's a cool form, and this is a great figure. Speaking of, here is Zero. Zero looks great. A lot of nice metallic paint, even carried it onto the back, which is usually unprecedented. I think that's fantastic. Now, again, he's missing these stripes on the upper thigh / hip area, which would be nice because they're here, and then there's just a gap, and I wish they were painted there, but can't win them all, I guess. But he's got a nice range of motion. All his joints are great. He can get good range out of the shoulders as well. And the other thing that's kind of cool, so you can see he's got the head here because he has taken his two blades off to form the sword, which is the Zero Twin Sword, I think it's called. This came in the accessory box, but in the box with him came the horned head. So if he is not utilizing the weapons and you want them on the head, you do get this version of the head. When he's using the weapons, they have you use the head that doesn't have the horns still, so it looks like he did take them off. I think that's really cool. So you don't get the weapon in the box, but you do get both heads in the Zero box, which is great. So that way you can utilize both. And there's great yellow eyes there. He looks fantastic on both of those. Really looks nice. So I think that's really cool. I think the attention to detail there is really great. That way, you know, you're not having him hold the things and then they're still on his head, which doesn't make any sense because he takes them off to form this weapon. Or, in addition to that, he does have the two blades themselves, so you can pretend like he's throwing them at a kaiju. Now, he's supposed to be able to hold these, and I find that they don't really fit into the hand all that well, unless you kind of put them down. And I'm not really sure exactly how he's supposed to hold them, but the only way they really fit in his hand is if you hold him down like this, which maybe that's right, maybe that is what he does, but I thought it was the other way. I thought he held onto this end and used these ends, but maybe he doesn't, I don't know. But that's kind of the only way they fit in his grasping hands. So they are included in the, these are in the extra box of accessories, but they are here. So you get the individual blades and then you get the combined version of the sword. And you also get both heads. So I think that's great. And in addition to all that, you also get some other hand options. So you have this kind of cool posing hand, you get a closed fist set of hand, and then you get the beam hands. That's great. I mean, that's a lot of accessories. That's a lot of options for Zero. I mean, Zero is definitely a fan favorite, so it's nice to see him really get the full treatment. Paint applications look great, articulation's great, and so many options. 2 different heads, 2 different ways you can display the weapons. He's got all the hand options. Just all in all, really, really came out great. And then last but certainly not least, one of my favorites, Ultraman Bellal. Now, I love Bellal. He's like the Venom of the Ultraman universe. At least that's the kind of vibes he gives me. He's got the great giant clawed hands, which look fantastic. He's got the evil eyes, also reminding me a lot of Venom. Just overall looks amazing. Really nice paint applications here. All in all, really nice. He's got the same articulation, great movement here in the abdomen and in the waist. Nothing in the way. Great range of motion there out of the shoulders. He's got the bicep. He's got the elbows. Everyone else, just like everyone else. And I love the claw hands. I just think they're so cool. Really, really looks great. Just this guy came out so good. I think they did such a great job with him. And I love this character. I really do. He looks fantastic as he knocks over his son, Jeed. So he does come with some accessories. In the box, he comes with a set of closed, like, weapon holding hands. Now, this is kind of a solid hand with a hole drilled through it. So it's not just like the others where it's like a hand gripping something. It's a solid, you know, hand with a hole drilled through, which is interesting because that's how he holds his Giga Battlenizer, I think is this thing is called, which is actually kind of cool. You just pop one of the ends of this off and then you can pop it through the closed hand. It's a kind of a tight squeeze, but you can absolutely do it. And then you just pop the end back on. And then it is holding the accessory, which I think is really cool. Like I said, kind of a tight squeeze, but it absolutely can be done. And you can take this off either end. Either of these pop off and then just peg back on. So, cool accessory. I love that he has that set of hands. But he also has this beam hand, which I just love. So you just take this off, pop this one on, and the box just shows him just kind of like, you know, one palm and it just shooting that out. I just think that's so cool. It looks like an Iron Man, like, repulsor blast. I just think that's so cool. And I love that it's red as opposed to blue. I think that's so good. So, love all of his accessories. Absolutely fantastic if I can get his hand back in here. He might be my favorite out of this. I mean, Blazer turned out really great. I'll be honest. They're all pretty good. They're all pretty good. But I really, really like Bellal. I think he turned out fantastic. And the other thing that's kind of cool, you can have the other characters hold these weapons as well. So it might be easier to feed this through his hand. With Jeed being Bellal's son, you could have him, you know, kind of pose with this, something like that, as he's not, we're just knocking everyone over. But you could have kind of a cool you know, pose something like this, which I think looks kind of cool. So it is neat that the others can use the accessory as well. Stand up. These two are always fighting. Let's get these two standing up. Stop fighting back there, you two. So yeah, it just came out great. Honestly, I think all 5 of these really came out great. I'm liking this line a lot. Like I said, it's kind of my first foray into this line, but I'm really enjoying it. I think they're a lot of fun. This is definitely the scale of figures that I really enjoy. It scales well with all the other figures that I buy. I buy a lot of 4-inch figures, so even though it doesn't really make sense for Ultraman to be in scale with Kamen Rider or Super Sentai, certainly not Blue Beetle for that matter, but I still like it. I still like that they're all in scale together. And, you know, I can just do my own headcanon and just say, yeah, Ultraman shrunk down for a minute so he could fight, you know, fight a bunch of ghouls here, help out taking care of some of these guys, and then he can grow large when there's a giant kaiju to fight. So they're fun figures. I definitely like them. I'll still probably get the Ultra Action figures because I do like those, and I've collected a lot of them at this point that I kind of don't want to stop. Plus, those are actually getting a lot better as they've gone on. They're including accessories and effect pieces and things for them now, which is really nice. But just the level of detail, articulation, accessories, these are great little figures, and they're not super expensive. I think they're anywhere from like $5 to $10 a box, which I can't remember exactly. We'll call it in the middle. We'll say like $7 or $8 a box. But honestly, for $7 or $8, you get a really nice, detailed, articulated, painted figure, decent number of accessories and extra hand options. Yeah, they're fun. I mean, as much fun as Chodo or Sodo. Well, they're definitely more fun than Sodo because you don't have to put any stickers on, which I hate stickers. These come fully painted, which is really nice. But yeah, they're right up there with Chodo or well, really Chodo for Sentai or Rider. Yeah, they're great. I like them a lot. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And as always, thanks so much for watching.